Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Well, if the mother of all bombs was meant to send a message, most of the world hears you loud and clear, President Trump, but it remains to be seen if North Korea has gotten the message. Now, President Trump has said that he is very happy with the success of the strike on the ISIS terrorists there in Afghanistan. However, he says that North Korea will also be taken care of. So these are very threatening words there by President Trump. Remains to be seen what happens. North Korea has, of course, promised something very big in the buildup for their Day of the Sun. President Trump has suggested that he has done more in 8 weeks than Obama has done in 8 years because the Obama administration was really holding back the U.S. military. And Trump has gone on to say that he has given the military, my military, he calls it his military, total authorization. So there we go. When he exclaimed that North Korea is a problem, and it's a problem that will be taken care of. The president then went on to praise the Chinese leader, Mr. Xi, who he said he had plenty of time to spend with him at Mar-a-Lago. He thinks he's a very special man. And so he wanted to praise the Chinese leader for taking the initiative and pressuring North Korea. This would be the first time the Chinese government actually appears to have laid down a bottom line with North Korea, and they're actually threatening Pyongyang with the response of unprecedented ferocity if the government of Kim Jong-un goes ahead with the test of either an intercontinental ballistic missile or a nuclear device. So most of the time, China just sort of tells the U.S. president, whomever they're meeting with at the time, oh, well, we'll take care of North Korea. You just keep on giving us these good deals and we'll take care of them. Well, now Trump is saying, you know what? It would be worth giving you a bit of a better trade deal if you just let us take care of North Korea. And the Chinese government has said that tension over North Korea has to be stopped from reaching an irreversible and unmanageable stage. So they are basically saying that World War III is imminent. They're warning their people of such. And now military sources, this is kind of a story that's in dispute, making the rounds, but military sources tell NBC News that the U.S. has positioned 2 Tomahawk missiles in the Korean Peninsula, approximately 300 miles from where North Korea is set to carry out their next nuclear test. These preparations come in response to the fact that North Korea is promising this big event to take place. They're celebrating the Day of the Sun, which is the birthday of the communist dictator and eternal leader Kim Il-sung. Analysts believe the country is primed and ready to carry out a nuclear test. They would not be capable of enacting a full-scale nuclear attack, but of course they want to go off and fire their little missiles and show the world what they might be capable of. Now, the country's state broadcasters there have declared the country would hit the U.S. first with nuclear weapons at any sign of aggression or provocation. There were kind of some disputed reports that North Korea had already evacuated about 600,000 of its people because they don't have the ability to shelter them in the case of a nuclear attack. So very interesting there. Now, President Trump has remained secretive about the plans that he is going to take with North Korea. However, he did say that he was sending an armada into the region. And Japan as well is finalizing plans to evacuate 60,000 of its citizens from South Korea in the event that war breaks out between the U.S. and North Korea. Japanese authorities are also readying for a potential wave of North Korean refugees to pour into the country. So they're also saying, well, they could be refugees as well as hidden spies and agents. So everyone is just kind of on the brink wondering what is going on there. But again, China is telling its citizens World War III is inevitable as North Korea is preparing this latest nuclear test. Officials there in China are warning all of their people that North Korea could soon conduct a 6th nuclear test or more missile launches in defiance of UN sanctions and stark warnings from President Trump that its policy of strategic patience is over. And so they are going to run around like little angry children and fire off some nuclear missiles. Isn't that wonderful? So there has been speculation that President Trump is preparing for a preemptive strike on the rogue state before the weekend. Preemptive strike. Now, this is in dispute. People are saying there's no way that he would strike preemptively, that it would have to be in retaliation for something that North Korea sets off first. So very interesting things could be taking place here. Easter weekend of all weekends. I mean, can we just get a break from World War III? My goodness. The Pentagon is actually actively working to protect the power grid amid fears of an attack by North Korea. Now, this is DARPA and BAE Systems. They say they're developing alternative communication networks for use in the event of a cyber attack on the grid. Experts say that the threat is real. Of course, they say this a lot because they want fast action in the government to protect the grid. They want this to be part of President Trump's infrastructure modernization project to give them lots of money to deal with this very real threat of the grid. And they know what kind of capabilities these other countries have because they have them as well. And they've also stolen these countries' plans. But they point out how Iran mentions electromagnetic pulse over 20 times in its military doctrine. So they're very up on being able to take out a country's power grid. They say that if that were to happen, it could kill 9 of 10 Americans by starvation and societal collapse. So very real threat here. But they said their chief impediment is political. They know how to fix the grid. They know how to keep the country safe. But the politics is what we'll have to deal with. So that right there makes me kind of question, because they're asking for millions, if not billions of dollars, fast-tracked directly to DARPA and these other systems to be able to develop alternative communication networks. And speaking of that, we now have the latest release, and probably the most significant release yet, by the shadow brokers, who are a mysterious person or group that over the past 8 months has been leaking NSA documents. And so now these are they've actually leaked about 1 gigabyte worth of the NSA's weaponized software exploits. The most significant release was just released today. It contains potent exploits and hacking tools that target most versions of Microsoft Windows, and evidence of sophisticated hacks on the SWIFT banking systems of several banks across the world. So they are showing how the NSA has this malware. It's threatening Windows users around the world. The software could give nearly anyone with sufficient technical knowledge the ability to wreak havoc on millions of Microsoft users. And lo and behold, it is now available to anyone out there who wants to download this software, because it has been leaked on the internet. Now, The Intercept has a very good breakdown of how this works. They're kind of showing you the program as it's taking over someone's system. But according to security researcher and hacker Matthew Hickey, he's the co-founder of Hacker House, he says the significance of what's now publicly available, including zero-day attacks on previously undisclosed vulnerabilities, cannot be overstated. So I don't think he's seen so much exploits and zero-day attacks released at one time in my entire life. He's been involved in computer hacking and security for 20 years. Affected computers will remain vulnerable until Microsoft releases patches for these zero-day vulnerabilities, and more crucially, until their owners then apply those patches. So many people won't even know how to apply the patches, so they'll just remain vulnerable. And he says hackers will be exploiting these attacks for years to come. Microsoft, when The Intercept reached out, they said, we're looking into it. We'll look into the reports. And of course, we will update you all with any ways to patch and protect yourself as that information comes forward. But they also point out how this Windows hacking tool may have been used to target the SWIFT financial security system, specifically anti-money laundering financial institutions called EastNets. And the U.S. government has long been able to crack into financial data through SWIFT as part of their anti-terrorism effort. But according to some of these researchers that are looking at this latest release, It shows the methods the NSA was going beyond its official access. You don't say. Didn't see that one coming. Give people the means, and of course they're gonna get into it. Speaking of hacking, we have hackers now vowing to detonate several bombs at an anti-Islam march to prove that Islam is the religion of peace. This is the website and social media accounts of Britain First. They've all been hacked. They've all been taken over. They were prepared to march. And this is the group's far-right supporters warned that they had better stop being racist to Muslims or they will die. They say several bombs will detonate and those who will march will be dead. Whoever goes to the march will die. So this is the way that they prove the religion of peace. They threaten you, they hack into your systems, and they say, don't go to the march or we're going to blow you up because how dare you insult our religion. Now, on that, we had Mike Cernovich in studio today with Alex Jones, and he had some updates on what his sources were telling him about Donald Trump's plans to send troops to Syria, tens of thousands of people potentially. And Eli Lake, who I guess wakes up every day and checks Cernovich's Twitter feed, then goes and takes those articles and posts to Bloomberg. He's also now confirming Cernovich's conspiracy theories, saying that McMaster is wanting to send tens of thousands of ground troops to the Euphrates River Valley. Trump told Fox Business this week that he doesn't plan on, that's not really his approach to fighting the Syrian regime. He said, we're not going into Syria. But according to General McMaster, we are, and it's only a matter of time. So with all of this war posturing over the weekend, it'll be very interesting to see what happens. We have Donald Trump sending U.S. military now to Poland to join NATO's multinational battalion just after he dropped that Moab bomb. So very interesting war posturing here, and we'll keep you updated throughout the weekend.
This is one of the biggest secrets out there. The missing link of why our ancestors, whether you were in Africa or ancient Albion, which is England today, why our ancestors were so much stronger. I mean, there are huge archaeological reports, all sorts of anthropology studies, you can look them up for yourself, that show that humans, just an average farmer of 10,000 years ago in England, was stronger than Olympic athletes today. In the final equation, everyone knows our modern society has lost its vitality. The sperm counts are down like 90%. People are falling apart. They're totally depressed. They're unhappy. What is going on? Every ancient culture was obsessed with what I'm about to reveal to you. Today we call it bone broth, and for thousands of years our ancestors enjoyed its benefits before it became lost to our modern diets of processed junk. That's why I'm so excited to announce the product that is undoubtedly the jewel in the crown of Infowars Life products. Caveman. We lost our vitality because we just ignored the ancient traditions. Everyone knew that you used all the parts of the animal. You used the skin to cover yourself for shelter. You used the meat for sustenance, the fat for cooking, but you used the bones for strength. We are now introducing Caveman by InfoWarsLife.com, the ultimate in true paleo nutrition with bone broth, turmeric root, chaga mushroom, and 7 total primal superfoods in a single great tasting formula. The bone is so amazing. From the outside structure full of minerals and key cofactors to the marrow that produces the blood for the body. This is the engine of the life essence. I've made a lot of important points here, but this is the one you need to research for yourself because it's so key. High-quality bone broth helps support healthy muscles and connective tissue, while the active compounds in turmeric do battle on the cellular level and help fight free radicals. And collagen is essential to aid healthy tendons, ligaments, and muscle tissue. This is an absolute win-win. You get an amazing product produced right here in America. You support Infowars and all we're doing to promote freedom and the restoration of our republic and promotion of freedom worldwide. The journey towards better health and giving our bodies these amazing compounds that God created starts at InfoWarsLife.com. 3 years in the making, incredible research, and the very best ingredients. I'm Alex Jones, and I may not be a caveman, but compared to these trendies out there in the street, I'm as close as it gets. Join me at InfoWarsLife.com and get your caveman formula today.